going to be talking about design. Whenever I say that to somebody, they say, oh, so you mean you want to make posters? And sometimes they say, you want to be a fashion designer? That's super cool. And sometimes they even go as big as a building and ask me if I want to be an architect. And yes, of course, all these disciplines are design. But to me, it's a little bit broader than that. I interpret design as a value vessel and believe that design represents the values and conditions of the present day. Designers are problem solvers, and as author Tom Russ writes, designs are the forms in which their intentions are synthesized. And so this means that intention matters, because design is the manifestation of the physical, the aesthetics, the thing you see in front of you, the tangible materials. But it's also sort of the metaphysical. It's whatever values and ethics and goodness means to designers. And so notions of both the ethical and aesthetic must be applied to when investigating design responsibility in their products. Designers have profound consequences on today's consumer goods. Virtually all consumer goods on the market are made out of fossil fuels, which lead to greenhouse gas emissions and so climate change. This gets us into the designer's paradox, as described to us by Marcus Ferris, the editor-in-chief of Design. The designer's paradox is sort of the inherent contradiction in trying to make valuable goods and services for humanity, but at the same time, these designers may very well end up being contributors to climate change and pollution. And so how do I, as an aspiring industrial designer, navigate all these complex paradigms? Today I want to share with you 3 core principles that help me understand that design is more than just aesthetics and utility. It has environmental, social, and cultural consequences. I collect several authors from Deep Economy, Natural Capital, Upcycle, and Cradle to Cradle, and I hope to expand upon these authors as my education continues. First, I hope to always be designing with my values at the forefront. By keeping human and natural capital in mind, I know about the impact I will have on humans and the environment. When Emeco, a chair company, started in 1944, they said that they weren't really about style. They said that they were about creating something that lasts. Ever since then, they've been innovating new solutions to already existing materials on the market, like steel, aluminum, and recently, they created a chair out of post-grade consumer plastics, which can be endlessly recycled. Next, we look at the principle less bad is not good. You see, when Emco started, they created chairs for the environment that their chairs will live in, rather than focusing on the goodness of their chairs. But for them, good means more than just for sitting. And so, less bad equals not good is a principle that I uphold as well. We have to look beyond what regulators and designers are making today and stop focusing on the low-hanging fruit of sustainability. Today, many regulators and designers are moving away from BPA in plastics, but plastics still contain known estrogen and known carcinogens, which leads to artificially increased estrogen levels in young males and makes females get their periods at a younger age. And so recycling is definitely a less bad, but I want to share with you 2 key principles I learned from Cradle to Cradle that can make you go beyond recycling. Biological and technical nutrients. Biological nutrients are anything that comes from the earth and goes back into the earth. For example, my iPhone case, Pella case, is made out of flax straw and bioplastic. When I'm done with it, I can just return it back to the earth. Next, we have crafted plastic sunglasses. Crafted plastics frames are made out of bioplastic that can degrade in 90 days, and they're also oil-free, which helps with the biodegradation. Next, we look at technical nutrients. Technical nutrients are found in a lot of electronics and technology. We see here Gomi, a speaker company. Gomi created the shell of their speaker out of 100 plastic bags or hard-to-recycle plastics. But they didn't stop there. They also innovated how the technology within is held. By this I mean that when somebody is done with their Gomi speaker, or Gomi creates an upgrade, which we find happens a lot in technology, consumers can send back their Gomi speaker, Gomi takes it apart, and puts those parts into a new speaker instead of downcycling the metals into a speed bump or something. I want to say that none of these things can be achieved by designers alone. This takes years and years of design and development and interdisciplinary connections. Manufacturers, entrepreneurs, and engineers are involved. I would also like to say that these products won't help with sustainability if they're not accessible. But I don't put price under the designer's purview alone because there are so many things that contribute to the price of a product. such as lack of investment in renewable resources and overinvestment in rather exploitative labor practices and non-renewable resource depletion. And so I start to think about where I belong in this whole scheme. Again, how do I navigate all these complex paradigms? Last semester, I took a class with Mitch Joachim called Think Big, and I started to think about the products I use, the resources that it takes to make them, and the waste that they create. I started tinkering with bioplastics to make packaging for various menstrual products. And as I was getting rather discouraged with my prototypes, my dad called me and we were chatting about how he just ordered pizza and how it's so ridiculous that we use takeout for maybe 20 seconds and then we recycle it. And for one reason or another, this got me thinking that if some menstrual products weren't single use, we wouldn't have so much packaging associated with them. And so I did a little bit of digging. In 2009, the Ocean Conservatory did a beach cleanup and found around 20,000 applicators on beaches worldwide. We don't know how many more are still in the oceans, but we do know that it takes about 25 years for a single applicator to break down. Now, I don't say this to shame people with periods. I say this to say that there is a less bad out there, and we should try to make a good. And so, Comma was born. Comma is a reusable tampon applicator that with a rather low learning curve, people with periods can limit the waste associated with their menstrual cycles. Because periods will end, but their environmental consequences keep going. I focus on a rather popular single-use product. Around 43 million people in the US alone use single-use applicators. And although environmental consciousness is rising, people are still rather understandably unwilling to give up routine and comfort for the sake of sustainability. And so I ask, what's next? For me in Comma, what's next is that I'm still investigating biological and technical nutrients and trying to understand if Comma fits into a circular economy. But I also want to ask what's next for you as an investor, entrepreneur, professor, parent, consumer, whoever you may identify as. How can you move the field you're in to be in a more symbiotic relationship with the earth? Because I can make all the biodegradable plastic applicators in the world and designers can innovate all of our consumer products, but if we can't scale them and give them to consumers, there will be no change. And so I end with my favorite Oscar Wilde quote, "The pure and simple truth is rarely pure and never simple." What we see, use, and consume every day is just a narrow window into the entire product's life cycle. By looking beyond the manufacturer's tag and really understanding the consequences that our products have, we will be reconnected with ourselves, our values, our communities, and possibly design a better tomorrow.